They had that dinner and it was really successful.
No, we need to be quiet, or you're gonna hear a bunch of feedback. Oh, sorry.
What I'm saying is we kind of told them to build them and then we didn't tell them how to maintain them.
I know I worried about that too, but I think they've taken care of it.
That group's pretty savvy on that problem.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
Should I have picked up something from over there? Is that
This is just the
agenda?
Didn't get one either?
It's at
Well,
the
I could have
door.
printed it out, but.
Well,
We're not supposed to talk.
Should I have picked up something?
No.
Yes, there's one for every.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It just- It's okay, I can look on your phone.
Okay, okay, thanks.
now we can talk
Oh,
away.
we can talk. Oh, thank you. I thought about being online because I just got up today and cleaned the gutters and my knees hurt. It's gonna snow tomorrow and I thought
No. But
rain and snow.
Would you like to have the honor tonight?
I would very happy to do that.
Okay, good. When the time comes,
All right.
when we find out, when I get a chance to
Mhm.
look at my agenda, we'll figure out the body in there where you fit.
Okay,
We're somewhere between 6 and 8. How's that?
okay. Whenever you say.
So that'll work.
Thank you.
I am concerned about one other thing though.
What's that? Well, there are people online.
Got Forrest.
I don't count, but
Count to us.
I can read the rules.
3 out of 5 is already.
Well, it's only 3 right now.
That's not 3 out of 5. I think it's 5 of them.
Okay.
Right, because Scott Stevenson is no longer a commissioner with the Historic Landmarks
Oh,
Commission.
I didn't know that.
Okay,
Could I have read that somewhere and not
No.
admitted?
sometimes I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the mayor that says, or if I'm supposed to share, because you guys are appointed by the mayor, so I think maybe it just wasn't shared with you guys.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't sure who,
Will someone replace him?
yes,
We know.
but
who?
no, I don't even know. So, the mayor is in charge of appointing.
Is there, is there?
Can you hear us? Forrest? Can you hear us?
Yes, yeah, can you guys hear
Thank
me?
you. Yeah, thank you.
Whole file photo of him before. He was very clear shaven as he was there.
He's
got a
looking
little-
younger.
Yeah.
He's all spiffed up. Is Eric coming?
Don't know. I did not hear from him.
Scott Randall's joining.
Still time.
Yeah.
Think
I'll
you're,
behave myself.
I think you're pretty safe with us.
Pretty old.
I'm a little bit worried about you though.
We're supposed to eat our candy or not? when we get to eat?
Mine in my purse.
Did you? I better do that too. Otherwise I'll sit here and look at him. And I'll eat Eric's if he doesn't take. Probably left over from Halloween, huh? No?
Probably.
The scammers really get.
Who have we got here?
so
Scott Randall.
And they hit the seniors. They're already hitting me hard.
I wonder if it's something we do in our buying. I do nothing on the phone other than use it for personal phone calls. I don't do any. Oh, Carl. You sat there.
This is information from Mr. Gomez.
I guess I helped myself to one already.
did.
Thank you. Yeah. That was the one thing I worried about, was how the letters would look if it were an electronic message board. Sounds like they've addressed it. That's pretty cool. Eric,
Hey,
Hey,
Eric, where you been?
I was looking for,
Julie was just ready to
I
steal.
was gonna eat your candy if you didn't show up.
Yeah,
you're here.
I am.
Take your hat off and stay a while.
Okay.
What? Okay. I'll take it to Roger.
It's a green day, apparently.
Talking to me.
She said she's recording, so.
Came home.
He should probably put his microphone down too. Yeah.
I put it up there purposely, they couldn't hear me.
Big thinking.
According to my time, it's 4 p.m. This is the time of day that the time of month or time of whenever that the Historic Landmark Commission from the city of the Dells meets. And so I'm calling this to order. We have a quorum. I would like to have Paula call a roll call of who is here and who isn't. If you would, please.
Aggie,
Here.
Forrest Ercole,
Here.
Eric Gleason,
Here.
Julie Reynolds,
Here.
Scott Randall,
Here I'm here.
and Bob McNary.
Here. We got our people done. I haven't talked ahead, but somebody will help me and we'll have our pledges of allegiance. I believe the flag is right here behind me and I got a cord tangled around both legs. So I'll be all right after a bit.
Well, you are tangled up.
Man.
There we go. I pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America
And to
and
the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
in theory.
Yeah, I would. Probably throw out the sound system for the whole building here, might have got up there. Okay. We've had a little mix up in the mailing department or something. Is anyone lacking time to read the minutes? Or have they already had an opportunity to read the minutes? Because I'm gonna be looking for
Excuse me, Chair. We need to start with the approval of the agenda.
Oh, I gotta get the agenda. Oh, gee. All right, we'll go to the agenda. I had the wrong stack laying in front of me. I'm gonna hide that stack. All right. We need to approve the agenda for tonight. Has anyone seen anything here that they want to add to our agenda? And if not, I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll move to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
There, we're on course now. Thank you. How you doing up there, Forrest?
Doing great. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda as written, say aye.
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 Want our hand signals are
Helps.
okay. Please raise your hand if you're in favor. Anyone that's not in favor probably didn't come tonight. All right, now can I go to my minutes?
Gotcha.
Thank you. The approval of the minutes from September the 27th, 2023. And that now I can get out the other thing from underneath the pile here. Has everyone had an opportunity to look them over?
I did. I just saw one correction. Somewhere down towards the bottom of one of the pages, it said Chair Gleason as part of the first sentence, and I'm
Technically,
Uh,
that's.
oh, okay.
I'll fix that. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. But that's the only thing I saw.
Do we correct it or is he gonna be acceptable? Eric?
I'll
I-
correct it.
She'll correct it.
Okay, so corrected. All right, anything else that we need to approve on the, or correct on the minutes of the September meeting? Here again, I'm entertaining a motion.
Oh, nothing, I didn't see anything to.
Yeah, you're waiting for that second, come on.
I move that we approve the minutes
I'll second that.
September
of
27th.
September 27th, 2023.
Thank you. And
I'll
you-
second.
all right, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, raise your hand, then that is passed. All right, now I'll hide that thing again because I'll get it confused if I have a chance. We're gonna have public comment from anyone in the audience that would like to talk about something that is not on our agenda for the evening. And I'll give you a little while to talk. It says 5 minutes, but maybe you'll disinterest me earlier and I'll say that's enough. But let's go from there. Is anyone in the audience that would like to have something to say but don't infringe on our agenda? Hearing none, I guess we'll go down to item 7. And I think that's where my friend's going to start in. And would you read the minute, not the minutes, but the procedure that we will go through for our public meeting?
The public hearing procedure. Now is the time specified for the Historic Landmarks Commission to conduct a public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider the following matter. HLC application 215-23, Charles and Deborah Gomez, 223 East 2nd Street. Their request is approval to install a digital message board replacing the removable letter section of the existing board. In addition, the front doors and back alley doors are proposed to be replaced. A public hearing is required by law and certain rules apply. First and foremost, you must be recognized by the chair in order to speak and present testimony. When recognized by the chair, please proceed to the microphone and state your name and mailing address for the record. The hearing is required by law to be tape recorded. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members and allow for challenges from the audience. The chair will open the public hearing with a staff report. The purpose of the staff report at this point is to further identify the applicable criteria of the case being considered and to provide background information about the case. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from the proponents, those persons in favor of the application. Next, there will be testimony from the opponents, those not in favor of the application. Next, there will be testimony from anyone else who wishes to offer testimony or ask questions. Then, to honor the right of rebuttal, we will again hear from those in favor of the application. To expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First of all, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria, as in all land use hearings. There are a complete set of rules, procedures, and criteria we must follow. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with details specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in the circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the law states the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. These are the rules. Are there any questions?
You handed that back a little bit sooner than I thought you would, because they all like to hear me. All right. One of the big items on our rules and regulations, is there any members of this commission that has an ex parte expertise
So close.
contact that would give them a conflict of interest or a bias in settling this?
I don't.
And I don't. So we covered the oh, that guy on the wall. There he is. If you got anything to say up there, Corey.
Nope, no conflict.
No conflict. Thank you. That was the thing that, and then the next item is kind of whispered. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to check the qualifications of the commission members? And if seeing no, I will continue on. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're ready for business. I'm going to call on staff to present their staff report on this application.
All right, just a moment here while I get my presentation up. Thank you, Chair McNary. All right, so hello, my name is Caitlin. I'm the Historic Landmarks Coordinator with the City of the Dalles, and I'm here to present on HLC 215-23. This is an application to install a digital message board, replacing the removable section of the existing marquee that has the letter sections. In addition, the front door and back alley doors will be replaced. So the applicants are Charles and Deborah Gomez. The address is 223 East 2nd Street. There is a secondary address associated with this parcel that's listed in the historic inventory for this parcel, and I just wanted to address that up front. That address is 221 East 2nd Street. Mr. Gomez let me know that that is an incorrect address to be associated with the Granada Theater. So I'm going to be working with Chippo on how to get that corrected in the future. This is a historic building that is a secondary resource in the Dalles Commercial Historic District, and it's currently being used as a theater. This is a map showing the location of the subject parcel. It's on Washington and East 2nd Street. So a little background on the Granada Theater. This is a picture from the late 20s, early 30s, showing the original marquee on the Granada Theater. Since its construction in 1929, only minor alterations have occurred. In 1947, one of the marquee was changed, as you can see in this picture, which is around, I would say, the early 50s. There was the addition of storefronts and the replacement of the original sidewalk canopy. This proposal includes the replacement of that existing removable letter section of the marquee. Oh, can you see it? Oh, yes. And then the front doors in the front here. And I'll go into that in a little more specificity in the slides. This is the existing conditions of the Granada. I just want to kind of panel back and forth here. I mean, it's been lovingly cared for, and after so many years, and I just wanted to commend the applicants for their continued efforts in doing so. This is the front of the building on Washington Street. And this is a picture of the existing conditions with the front doors. Now, the applicant provided a detailed narrative of how the front doors have deteriorated due to weatherization issues, and there's existing security concerns with the locking mechanisms. The applicant claimed that this was a mahogany doors, and they're proposing to replace it with like for like wood doors. This is a close-up that the applicant provided of the existing conditions of the front door. As you can see, there's the chain that's locked around the bars currently. So they do need new doors in order to put a more sophisticated locking system for their business. And I'll let the applicant elaborate on that when they present. This is the existing conditions of the message board. There are issues with holding the letters into the board, and there is some failing lights that backlight the message on the Granada marquee. This is existing conditions of the alley. As you can see, there are 2 doors that have been replaced and that are being presented on this evening. All right, so let's dive into the Dallas Municipal Code, section 11.12.9.5. This is where we get, this is where we check to see our applicable criterion for the proposed changes. So staff found that the proposed changes with the storefront doors, the 2 alley doors, and the message board still retain the historic character of the property. The proposed front doors will be wood and double pane. The 2 alley facing doors did not have much historic character to retain, as they were non-historic, so they replaced it with metal security doors. And the marquee, we'll talk a little bit further in the slides here, but they are retaining the majority of the shape and the distinctive features of the marquee. They're only changing just the message board section. This property is recognized as a physical record of its time, and the applicant is not proposing to add any additional architectural features that would create a false sense of historical development. So number 4 talks about how most properties change over time, and some of these changes have historic significance in their own right. So the marquee was changed from the original in the late 40s. And so that makes this existing marquee about 70 years old. So in its own right, it has retained some historic significance. The staff found that the applicant is retaining the majority of the distinctive features of the marquee. And so long as they are retaining that historic shape, that really replacing the message board section is not deteriorating that historic significance of the marquee. Distinctive features and finishes will be retained with the front door, as it will be a like-for-like replacement with wood doors. However, it will have that double paned glass, but staff found that we'll talk about that a little bit more in the materials criteria, but staff found that met this criterion. So thinking about deteriorated historic features, the applicant provided a pretty detailed narrative on how the dysfunction of the front doors precludes them for retaining the existing storefront doors. So they are proposing to do a like-for-like replacement. Staff found that the alley door, they were replacing like a feature that did not really have a lot of historic significance or impact the overall facade of the building. And we'll go over the materials here quickly. Staff is adding as a condition of approval that that any planned cleanings will be required to meet standards set forth by the Secretary of Interior. No painting or cleanings were detailed in this application, but it is standard that we have that condition of approval. No new additions are part of this application. However, the new construction or replacement doors are found to all exterior modifications are similar in the massing, size, and scale on the existing property, as they're not enlarging the marquee or message board. They're not enlarging the doors, and they did not enlarge, as far as staff found, the alleyway doors. So taking a look at the material, I'm just going to go right in. So the alleyway doors, they are already installed. They are metal doors that replaced non-wood deteriorated doors in the past. I couldn't find a ton of historical photos of the alleyway, but if you can see here, the middle door did not get replaced. And so I went off of what was present there. So those two doors on either side lit up on the slides there were replaced. So the front door replacement, the applicant provided a picture of the an example of how the door is encased with wood with double pane glass in between. These would be set to have double doors, so two doors mirrored to each other. And wood is this would match the existing doors. So talking about the commercial front, their commercial front isn't really being too impacted by this replacement of the front door because they are matching what is existing there. So staff found that they meet the commercial front criterion. And now talking about signs. So I included on the slide a couple of criterion that I thought were specific or applied to this case. So the proposed message board does not increase the overall size of the marquee or the message portion. So this is a lit up section of what would be replaced. Staff felt that this replacement matched the size and scale of the building. You can see, so there's two sections of the marquee that's being changed, and that would be with that digital LED message board. As you can see that there are significant features to this marquee, including the Granada signage, the light up bulbs around the digital message board, and the stars. So they're not proposing to do a plastic sign face or can sign, as they are not recommended in the historic district. And taking a look at our historic photos for reference, it's still would be compatible with the size as it is the same marquee. I did speak with SHPO regarding this change in our historic downtown because I really wanted to see if this was done. The applicant provided some examples of other theater marquees that have been swapped out for digital message boards. SHPO also confirmed what the applicant provided, and that this does happen with other historic marquees, that they are swapped out for digital message boards, and that it is up to the Historic Landmarks Commission, to determine what the appropriateness of it in their downtown. However, they have seen it, and so staff felt comfortable recommending approval for this application and this change. Those are a couple examples. So above are the proposed recommended conditions of approval. So as I spoke about last time, one condition of approval will be that chemical or physical treatments such as sandblasting that cause damage to historic material shall not be used. The surface cleaning of the structure, if appropriate, shall be undertaken using the gentlest means possible. In addition, the applicant shall obtain a sign permit approved by the Community Development Department prior to installation of the digital message board. And the Community Development Department will be looking at other applicable sign criterion, such as revolutions per minute and other whatever other applicable criterion that apply to this proposal. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Does it do like video, like presentation, like a movie or section? Is it going to be just the letters similar to what you have now, or is it going to have
So with some restrictions, there are some restrictions in the sign code regarding how much can be flashing on the digital message board. It's limited by 7 RPMs per minute. Now that's a pretty outdated way to limit your RPMs, but that's how it's listed in our sign code. So, I mean, we can maybe ask the applicant up here on what they intend to do for their, if it's going to be a moving sign, if you'd like, if you want to hear.
I'm not terribly concerned, but I just remembered my son was a city planner in Salem, and about 5 years ago, there was some controversy, and I don't think it ever came to much, but it was billboards that were just flashy, and on I-5 there was like crashes or something, or there was a concern that there might be. And I was thinking about that, but they've done such a wonderful job with the history, and I don't think there's going to be a big pile up on 2nd Street because of any changes on the sign. So it got me thinking, and I guess I was just, when the appropriate time, I just like to know if it's just going to be the letters very similar to how it is now, or because the technology is so fantastic now, is it going to be flashier? My concern, sorry to talk so much, but is it's such a magnificent building, and you've done such a beautiful job keeping the history. I don't want to upstage, for a theater term, the building and the history of the building with something too modern. That's my concern, and I'm pretty sure that you don't either.
Well, and so with that sign provision in our code with the 7 RPMs per minute, it wouldn't be able to show over 7 pictures per minute, if that makes sense. So it would be limited to the amount that they could show. So not super fast paced, changing all the time. And that, it's diminishing returns for the applicant, I would guess too, because you want to be able to read and retain the information. So kind of it's a two-way street there. unlike Second Street. Okay. Just,
Okay,
okay, I hope,
a comment.
yes, yeah.
If there's no further questions from the commission to the staff, I would like to open the public hearing with the report from the proponent, the guy that's gonna put this together. Would you please proceed to a microphone and give us your name and address? And then, oh, I love this duel. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then tell us what you anticipate this is gonna be. We're interested.
Good late afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Gomez. P.O. Box 1329 here in the Dells, and Deborah and I are the proud owners of the Granada Theater. Purchasing it after 3.5 years of discussions with the city and purchased in 2017. We started work on it on 4th of July, 2017. Completed all our restoration and opened the Granada back up on November 10th that same year. We did not let any grass grow under our feet. We are also the owners of the Watseka Theater, still own it, still run it in Illinois. And the Watseka Theater is the only theater designed by Louis Skidmore, the world-renowned architect. And Louis Skidmore was not only the chief architect of the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, he was also the architect for the first League of Nations, United Nations building in New York. He worked the preliminary work on the Sears Tower. His son did the Hancock Building. They are the largest architectural firm in the world with some of the most important and impressive buildings in the world. And we have, for 20 years, historically worked to maintain, restore, and revitalize that theater, which is also an Art Deco theater, just 2 years younger than the Granada. So we are soundly aligned with the historic movement of our buildings, of the community, and its place in time here in town. I think the outside of our building speaks for itself, as does the inside. If you would like to come see it as of late, it's a beautiful historic restoration project. We had not long ago this summer, the granddaughter and the great-granddaughters of William Potts. William Potts was the architect for over 60 theaters and worked for Universal Studios and came to the Dells to design the very first theater, as you know, the first theater west of the Mississippi, designed for the talkies, designed and built for the talkies. Now, yes, they had talkies going on at Grauman's and Hollywood and everything, but those were all brought in systems into old silent movie houses. The Granada is absolutely the first theater west of the Mississippi that was designed and built for the talkies. Consequently, their opening night, anticipating a talking movie, the sound system, which was taking the country by storm with a 9-month backorder delay, was sent to Dallas, not the Dells.
Gosh.
And they had to their opening night, I believe it was March 21st, 1929, opened with a silent movie. But the company, I think it was what was the Vitaphone. Vitaphone Sound Company. They apologized and they were able to get a sound system here in 11 trucks within several months. So it did eventually reopen. But our dedication is to the historic footprint. The granddaughter and the great-granddaughters of William Potts, the actual original architect of the Granada, came, called me up. We emailed back and forth. They believe it is the only surviving William Potts Theater in America. He did 60. Just in the last 3 years, another 2,000 theaters have bit the dust. It's very difficult for small theaters to stay open, to stay viable. I think the digital message board will help not only today, but in keeping the theater vibrant and functioning successfully for us, for the next generation and further generations, as we do feel we are really just the caretakers of that building, just a little slice of time, and that's where we are. But the building's been here almost 100 years, and I anticipate another 100 years for it. So we are looking to maintain the marquee for future generations. Now, the marquee with a digital message board on it can be, and if you look at the little packet that I just handed out, if you look at the very last page, can be retrofitted with a 16mm per diodes LED message board. The sign's content management software allows it to be programmed with lettering that copies the original marquee's look right down to the very font that matches the old manually applied letter tiles. The digital board it's like a computer screen. Whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. We have no intention to run movies on it or have anything moving on it. You'd have to be,
I wasted my speech.
you'd have to
No,
be
it's a good
driving really
question.
slowly to see it. But we occasionally would like, as you see in some of these pictures here, occasionally we'll have a still picture on it. I can envision maybe one day closing, one summer day, applying for a permit to close Washington Street for a Sunday evening, a Saturday evening, set out some tables, barricade it off, have a little nosh and wine out there, and maybe have a slideshow of every mural here in town up on the marquee. It's difficult for some people to drive through town, going the wrong way on streets. You have to turn behind you to see a mural in a parking lot that you've missed. It might be nice once or twice a year to sit and have a slideshow of all the murals in that size and scale up on the marquee. I think that would be a great tourist attraction. And the Granada really depends on tourism to stay alive, well, and healthy. We don't plan any video movies up on there. We would never run anything 8 to a minute. That's what, 7, 8 seconds an image. I would have our current classic movies up there titled. I would have maybe a landmarks committee date up there once a month. We could have church events up on there and school graduation dates up on there. We could put so much information up on that marquee that would take minutes and minutes to slowly change from one message to the next one. Schools, clubs, Lions, Kiwanis, it could be an endless list of events that are taking place throughout the community, converting the Granada not only from a community-centered building, but to a community-centered message board for everyone in town. We'll just drive by the Granada and see what's taking place in town this next week, this next month. I only see it as an advantage to the community. I do not see anything derogatory in changing that white plastic plexiglass backing that is now cracking. It is warping. It is difficult to find replacement of it because it's an obsolete material. The rails are starting to come off. You see that in those original packet photos, how we have had to screw them back on just to get our messages and keep letters on those boards. So it's really at the end of its life. And I don't think any of us would replace anything that we owned with old obsolete technology. We would, of course, choose something that was artistically, historically appropriate, and yet modern and ready to move forward for the next 20 or 30 years. The marquee that was originally built with the theater was that small wraparound marquee, which did have on the very corner of it a pictured image, if you look closely. It's on both sides of the streets, and the marquees, but right on the very corner at the apex is a Granada. That's a beautiful painting of the, it's a picture of the name of the theater. As World War I had the industrial machine cranking at full speed, at the end of the war, the machinery and industry was still running at 100%, and America started building cars again, and refrigerators and stoves and marquees. And in 1947, they removed the original historic marquee that was on the Granada and replaced it with the neon chase light and movable letter marquee that you now see up there. So it's not the original marquee. We've lost the giant spade sign, the banjo sign that was on the corner of the building, which someday I'd like to construct and put back up there again. Pardon me?
Drag it down.
Yep, track it down. Yeah, I think we'd have to make a new one, but it's not the original, but all that neon, all the color, all the chase lights, the light bulbs, the feel of a 1920s, 30s theater would be retained. It's only the message board itself that we would like to go to digital. And you will see some other examples of historic landmark theaters all over the country that have replaced their message boards with digital.
They're actually landmarks.
That are landmark buildings, absolutely.
Ours is in the
Yes.
landmark district.
And in landmark districts. So that kind of wraps up what we want to do with the marquee. Letters are starting to come off. It's starting to become a safety issue as it's kind of windy around here. So letters are being blown off now. And we feel that
Pedestrian.
there is some concern for pedestrians and cars going by. Letters blowing around and coming apart, and it's becoming more and more difficult to even fit letters on that board. You can see the warpage if you stand underneath it and look closely at it. In closing, I would like to say to each and every person in this room, fear not that we would change the historic character of the Granada. We will not. We will only enhance its footprint in history. We can't wait to do that. We feel it will be a betterment for the theater, for the downtown, and for the entire town of the Dells. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Now I'll get my voice back here. You are a very good salesman, you know that, so I don't have to advertise that for you. And all I want to know right now is where do I sign to get the first payment on this thing going, you know? But is there any member of the commission would like to ask the owner here anything that he didn't cover? What about you, Forrest?
No, I got nothing.
Okay,
I got a couple of questions,
good.
as always.
Eric always.
Give me, Eric.
Oh, yeah. So the plastic section that you're replacing, is that part of the original 47 marquee, or has it been
It
replaced
has been replaced.
multiple times? Yeah.
It has about a 10, 12 year, and I think this one's probably about 18 years old.
Didn't we replace the marquee? Won't say anything other than we replaced it, but I was thinking about 20-some years ago, it was becoming a hazard, and I thought we gathered up enough people and supported taking it down even and reinstalling it. Something like that triggers my mind that we rebuilt that thing, and then we ended up rebuilding the roof. Anything.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The city has shown real adaptability to preserving that. part of you getting here, and I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm just saying that they have seen the light in the sense that they protected it before you got here.
We're
That's what
grateful.
Rudy's trying to say.
And then the doors, you're just replacing the entrance doors into the theater itself, not the ones into the shops.
Really, there's a huge security issue. In fact, when we bought the theater, those doors didn't even have handles on them. Those handles had been, somehow they were disappeared on it. And we have found Moorish revival rope, wrought iron handles that we put on the doors. But there's about a 1/2 inch space between the doors without an overlap. And if we didn't chain and clip those doors at night through the inside, the interior handles, you could take a coat hanger and put it through that 1/2 inch space between the doors. And if you were really just a little bit of manipulation, you could hook the panic bar and pull it and open the door to the theater.
You have another occupation?
How'd you figure that out?
Well, we did attempt trying to, see if we could get in the doors. And just sometimes if it's not just perfect, or if you have one of the students closing the doors at the end of the evening, we always have to go back and check because it doesn't close all the way and you can just jerk it really hard and it does open. And Eric, you asked a question about the front doors on the building into the cafe and the gallery. I'm all for that also. It's not something that we mentioned in here. We didn't want to ask for too much. And
We didn't.
yeah, one thing
Take
at a
little
time.
steps, yeah.
But that is something that we would like to do.
Well, those ones kind of look restorable as opposed to maybe the main ones.
Well, the handles, excuse me,
Oh, and then
handles are not readily accessible for handicapped people because the handle, and that can be changed, but we have to go through that too. But the structure and the wood itself, by the time I think it was sanded, that's another issue we can talk about later.
Yeah.
Answer your question at some point.
So do you know if those front doors into the theater are the originals? I mean, I can see them in that historic picture of you have of the newer.
I do not believe
but-
they're the original.
Yeah,
doors.
they kind of look a little different style than what you'd expect.
Yes, they're a little slightly more modern. I do not believe they're mahogany. That's the big thing. And the only reason I'm kind of hanging my hat on the material of mahogany wood is the entire interior of the theater in that 1947 period was modernized with mahogany paneling. Those giant ribs that go from floor to ceiling all along the stairway to the balcony. Those are beautiful radiator ribs of solid mahogany. The walls that at one time enclosed the Art Deco water fountain, which had been stolen through the years. But that wall in the lobby, those are mahogany details. And I would love to replace the front doors to the theater. That's the calling card. That's your opening act. That's your introduction to the theater, the doors. And I would love to see them in natural mahogany, oiled and stained, and have that color and those veins of mahogany come out again. And that just starts you on your journey into the Granada. And the ones that are there now, I do not believe are original. And they're painted kind of a flesh tone pink or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have the architectural drawings, so you met the architect, but they didn't bring or descendants, but
No, I
they
wish
didn't
she
bring the
had.
drawings with them.
Yeah, she was
Darn.
great. She was in her 80s.
Ink would be getting kind of thin.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then I just had one question about the alley doors. Are you going to retain that middle section doors or are you,
Yes.
okay? Because good, I like those are kind of
Well, I have the old doors.
of the originals, so.
I have the original doors that were on the alley. And if you look closely at those pictures, you'll notice that there's the door and there's this strip, different color that goes around it. Well, the original doors were smaller doors, but there were two of them, cafe door style. They had to be chained and locked to each other. There was no anchoring latch mechanism for door to door or door to threshold. And even though we took out two smaller doors, we put in, and this was done with the advice and direction of our fire marshal that I invited into the theater for his fire exit help. And those are 48-inch doors, a single door, 48 inches. The other doors were, I think, 18 or 20 inches times two. And they had like I think a foot on either side of a side light. But now we have about 6 inches on either side. So we didn't have any structural concerns because the door opening per se was not increased in size. It was slightly decreased in size, but the door was made larger. Those are strictly fireproof steel security doors with panic bars for easy exit on the inside. But I did save the doors that we took off because I've contacted PDX, International Airport, and I wanted to do the Dell's Granada display down there. And they told me it's about a 2-year wait, and there's several hundred artists that are chomping at the bit to build a display down there. But the fact that Judy Garland and Cab Calloway and other people had performed at the first theater talkie west of the Mississippi, PDX said, we are very intrigued with the possibility of the Granada and the Dells building an airport large exhibit there. So if that ever came to fruition, I would use one of those doors down there as part of the exhibit. Those are in the basement right now.
That's all the questions I had.
Well, now we'll call for the opponents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone that is opponent as an opposition to this rebuilding of and remodernizing of our marquee and our doors, would they please come to the mic? I see no one, so I'm going to close that aspect of this hearing. Do you want to rebuttal yourself? Otherwise, I think that if the commission have anything further they would like to ask the owners, and if they don't, we're going to close the hearing to the public and just kind of mediate here amongst ourselves. Mediate, do what we want. I am going to close the public hearing, and now we as commission members are going to review the facts, and somebody will make a motion and somebody will second it, but we will approve or disapprove this. Forrest, you're going to have to help us. You got anything you want to say at this point? I have a little trouble keeping track of you up there.
I'm always shifting around, but I think this is a good idea. I think the digital board will go very nicely right below the neon Granada sign and just being like encompassed with all those light bulbs. I think it's just going to add to that shine and just catch your eye. So I like the idea of it.
Thank you. Eric, you got anything here that you want to talk about with us, kind of in private?
Not really. I think it seems like a good application to me.
I'm very satisfied. I wasn't really so concerned. It wasn't like a mountain I was going to die on. This wasn't a big issue, but you really relieved any potential worries that it would upstage the grandeur of the building. And I'd like to compliment you both on what you're doing for our town. I think it's wonderful. It's so good to get people that just dig in and get how cool the Dalles is and make it even better. So I appreciate what you're doing. So you don't get any trouble from me.
Well, somebody's going to get in trouble with me if they don't make a motion.
Well, does Scott Randall, is he part of the
Scott, yeah,
Mm.
Scott's been quiet.
He's
commission
not-
member?
Yeah,
No,
Oh,
he's
oh,
the
Turn the
council
light on.
representative if he wants to.
still here. I'm
talk.
in the dark. Yeah, I have nothing to add.
Oh,
I believe I'm not a voting member, so.
I'll make a motion to approve HLC application 215-23 from Charles and Deborah Gomez for work to be performed at the Granada Theater with the conditions presented by staff.
I second that motion.
Very good. If there's no further discussion, I will call for the vote at this time and we will raise their hand. All in favor of the motion that was just made by Eric for the application 21523, please raise your hand. Can you see a hand in the dark? Boy, you got a better
Yeah.
eyes than that.
He's
Uh,
smiling though.
Anyone opposed? This application has been approved. And while we're in the approval mode, this is kind of us. This is us. We will go right ahead and get a historic landmark resolution number 201-23 approved at the same time. Does someone here want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll move to approve HLC resolution 201-23 from Charles and Deborah Gomez
Add to make sure that the conditions of approval.
with the conditions of approval.
I'd second that motion.
Everyone has heard that resolution.
201 and 215. Oh, okay.
Everyone's heard that resolution. Raise their right hand if they're in favor.
Aye.
There's a hand in the dark out there somewhere. Yes,
Yeah,
there is.
yeah, there is.
Let's see.
Okay, that has been approved also, so we've got that off our agenda. Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's always interesting to see. We don't have enough participation here because people don't realize who is doing what in this community. And that is a kind of a sinful thing. And of course, I'm being kind of one-sided, but whoever's doing things historically, I want to watch them. I want to see what they're doing. I think it's wonderful. And you're doing it. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
And since are we off the record right now?
We're on the record. No. We are still in a public meeting, still being recorded. Well, you can ask questions off the record after the meeting's over. Okay.
All
Oh,
right.
okay.
So the hearing and the application have been taken care of. The resolution has been taken care of. Now we get around to the argument things. And our staff has got things to report to us, I know, and she got answers to give to questions. So will you go for it as a staff comment?
Yes, I do have some comments. So first and foremost, I would like to introduce Anne Moorhead. She is working with RARE Oregon, that's Resource Assistance for Rural Environments. And Anne, if you just want to speak a little bit about what you are doing here in the Dalles, that would be amazing.
Sure. Should I just pass these out real quick?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
And you're upside down. I'm not supposed to know.
Hello. My name is Anne Moorhead. I'm Special Projects Coordinator here at the City of the Dalles, working on a number of projects, including a restoration project on the Waldron Drug or Gitchell building, however you prefer to call it. Sorry, Forrest, I don't have a copy for you, but I will try to explain what's going on verbally as well, so you have an idea. As of right now, there's still a lot in the works, so this is purely conceptual and everything is subject to change as the project kind of comes further along. But the idea is that we would take the west side of the Gitchell building, the ghost signs there. There's about 3 overlapping signs. And there is an artist who has worked rather extensively to do a what he calls a light capsule, which is essentially he takes extensive pictures and creates digital restorations of the signs. And then he installs projectors. He has both temporary and semi-permanent projections. We are aiming for a more permanent solution, which would be a 10-year installation as the expected lifespan. It would project these restored digital versions of the ghost signs, cycling through the different layers onto the west-facing sign. So you would still have the integrity of the original ghost signs in their faded form with all the history that comes with that. But you'd also be able to see a restoration of what it would have looked like back when they were fresh and new projected over it. So that is the goal. In addition, if possible, we're also really hoping to put in security measures such as security cameras in the area to really kind of protect that area. And then also, you know, if it's in the budget, looking at adding light to the opposite side, the restored east sign, to really kind of make the Gitchell building brighter, more restored, and more of a kind of visual spectacle for our main historic area.
And if I may add, Anne will also be making a presentation in January, getting into the specifics of what everything will look like. But she just, I invited her here today because I thought you guys would like to know about projects that currently are in the works.
Little teaser.
Indeed.
Do you have any questions for Anne?
I have one. So this is going to be an outside projector that's always projecting.
Yeah, I believe we still haven't quite determined whether or not it will be projecting 24/7, since it probably won't be seen very well in the daytime, but it will require putting in just a pole. I'm expecting it to be around just south of the traffic circle, right next to the building. Projectors will go up on there and they will project onto that west face and cycle through, like I said, the different signs.
Thank you, Anne.
Very secure, so for vandalism and, you know.
It'd be like as high as a light pole. It'd be really hard to get up there.
There are 3 signs, ghost signs that overlap on that building.
Yes.
So it would cycle through this one and then the next one and then the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
The top layer, I believe, they have found just the black banner was put on without ever covering up the red storage sign on the right side of the building. So it may be that they don't like go away and put in another one, but it shows as it would have looked at the time, it covering up the red storage sign. But again, we're still kind of in the process of pulling all this together. So.
And then we'd also like to thank Commissioner Gleason. He's been a great help to both of us, especially, well, yeah, both of us during this project. So big shout out to Commissioner Gleason.
Oh, Eric.
Thank you very much for your help.
I guess my only other suggestion is maybe some informational signage on First Street there might be
First Street.
a good thing to add. We already have those kind of pretty firm barriers between the railroad tracks,
Yeah, the railroad track does make it difficult.
which we might be able to just attach signage right to that
Yeah,
steel barriers.
I think that'd be great. Yeah.
Because that's one thing I owned the Wing Hung High building across the street there. And, it would periodically get broken into and vandalized when I first started on it.
Mhm.
But, as soon as I've restored the doors and put up interpretive signage, that kind of has stopped.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'm just lucky right now, but I think that kind of stuff makes people appreciate the building more and makes it seem like it's, being used and stuff. And so they're less likely to take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
I think things like signage there on First Street would really help that.
I think that would be great. I forgot to mention earlier, but I do think signage in the park may work as well along the already accessible walkway in the park there. That would, be visible looking at the face. But I think having additional signage or something going on First Street would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll add that to.
Yeah,
the
I
plan.
like the idea of both places. Yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
What kind of an informational sign do we have in Festive Park? Which is kind of a, when you run into the building, is there any informational sign there?
Nothing is coming to mind. Commissioner Gleason, is anything coming to mind for you?
I don't think so, but one of the things about the building of that park was prior to that park, there were grain elevators there. And one of the mitigations for taking down the grain elevators was supposed to be some interpretive signage, which hasn't ever happened. So maybe this would be a good opportunity to do some interpretation of that industrial history that was there previous to.
That
Those elevators that burned. Wow, that was spectacular.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious now, is that an owl cigar you're supposed?
Yep. And I think there's a 5-cent next to it.
Yeah.
I don't know when they were 5 cents or if they were 5 cents for a long time or.
We found a time period. I can't remember it now though. I have it written down somewhere.
I don't know how the city is financing this, but don't let them ever change it in my lifetime after I'm gone. Who cares? But that regulator sign
Mhm.
is so historic, and it always brings down, oh, I can ride down the river. Well, no, you had to have been a little earlier. The last trip down the river is gone. But
Mhm.
Maintaining that sign has been something that's been kind of controversial in a sense, but it always has been rebuilt. So I hope we can continue that. And then I don't know that somebody researched it. It might not fall back on this historic landmark group. That thing might almost be what you'd call it historic.
Oh, the mural on the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think we reviewed it when it was pretty faded and then the Mural Society did the restoration.
Okay, I don't know who.
when
That's
it
what I
was-
said. I didn't know
But
who
I think
restored it.
I think we reviewed it before they did that restoration. It does need to be touched up a little bit on the very top part when the parapet walls were rebuilt. That part needs to be kind of touched up again, but the rest of it's in pretty good shape still.
Yes, but however we have to go, we should try to maintain it. That's what I'm trying to say. 20 years from now, it'll be more controversial probably than it is today, but right now, I hope we can maintain it. Staff, you got more
I got more.
exciting things?
Yes, thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes, I do want to bring up an issue with the Getchell building that Commissioner Gleason brought up recently regarding graffiti on the front face of the building facing the railroad. Staff, I just wanted to give an update that staff is working with the Union Pacific Railroad to get access on their property in order to clean the graffiti. So we do have to go onto a permitting process with Union Pacific in order to enter onto their property. So
It's already been fixed, though.
it's already been fixed.
Yeah, somebody's
When
painted
did that
over it.
happen?
Today on the permit.
Well, oh man, I'm saying that during a meeting now too. All right. Well, thanks for the update,
Yeah,
Commissioner Gleason.
maybe
Um,
Union Pacific did it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check on that one. Huh. Okay. Well, we are gonna reschedule our meeting for December. It sounds like that there is some interest with the commission to do that. Now, I sent an email. There's a couple emails going back and forth. There seemed to be some interest moving the meeting either to December 20th or January 3rd as a regular scheduled meeting. Or maybe it was December 27th was interested. I just wanted to bring up those dates as an opportunity for you all to discuss if you'd be available for January 3rd or the December 20th for our historic landmarks meeting. I'll be here all the dates.
27th is off,
Hey, we could also do the 27th.
which is the regularly scheduled.
Yes, yes. Anybody have specific dates that they prefer?
What were
Sure.
the dates in January again?
January 3rd.
Oh, I have a historic landmarks meeting then. I'm looking at my calendar.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I would prefer the 20th of December or January 3rd, but not the 27th.
Okay.
I think the 20th works for me. I don't think the other dates would.
Okay.
Everyone says the 20th. I can do the 20th. I have to talk to the wiener dogs and see if
So you could do January 20th, or sorry,
in
December 20th,
Yeah,
I
can do that.
or January 3rd.
Either one.
Okay.
There's two for the 20th, right?
Yes.
I'm fine with the 20th, but I don't count, so.
Don't count to us.
Chair McNary?
Yeah, I am listening here and I'm kind of footloose and fancy free. If I'm still trying to figure out if we talking about the December meeting or the January meeting.
Well, we are talking about the December meeting, and it'd be pushed either to the first week of January or moved to the 20th, which would be a week before. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to ask you to dictate for me. You tell me when the rest will be here and I'll try to be here.
Okay.
I think I said that in my email sometime back.
Okay.
I believe that's good.
Okay. Well, I'll put down the 20th. I'm going to confirm with staff that we'll meet all of our legal noticing requirements, but I think it's looking good.
Will you
So,
send out an email about that?
absolutely.
Thank you.
And okay, Paula Webb, the Secretary of the Community Development Department, will contact you all very promptly with the updated meeting time.
All is wonderful.
And that concludes staff comments.
20th. Get it out of the way.
All right. Are you done with your presentation?
Yes, thank you.
We asked question. Okay, what is the status? As though we should know, but we don't. I don't. On the Tony building, I am surprised to see him backfilling. Is there a tenant?
Is there a
That's gonna
tent?
come in and start doing something? Is that why we got Dan back there?
Well, I was listening in on the Granada and on locked out of the office. Happy to give you an update.
Do you want, can you want to come up to the
Come on
mic?
up. I can't believe that you've stayed in the back of the room this long. Come up, we want to talk to you.
But I'll think about it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan Spots, Economic Development Officer with City of the Dalles. Regarding the Tony's building, we had placed a proposal before the Urban Renewal Board for a request for proposals actually in October. The board asked us to defer on that. Our intention is to come back in December and propose instead a invitation for expressions of interest. The difference between the two being that the RFP is much more specific. We had included in that proposal things like housing, downtown retail, a restaurant, things of that nature. The board's suggestion and guidance now is that we take a more general approach. A request for expressions of interest is really sending it out to the development world and saying, here's some property, give us some creative ideas. What might you do with this? Now, that's only the current status. We don't yet have the board's approval on that. Again, in December, we'll take that up and see where we might go. Reasons being, in addition to this, we are looking at turning one section of Federal Street between First and Second into a plaza, an outdoor plaza. That might have some effect on what could take place at Tony's. and we're having some discussions with other adjoining property owners that might also have an effect. So right now, we're keeping the property as it is. We'll be putting some more decorative fencing around it, security fencing, putting some sort of a screen on that fencing that would perhaps promote downtown the Dalles, get some sort of message up there on a temporary basis, but have that security screening in place until we do have something more specific in mind for the property. So nothing imminent on the Tony's side.
It looks like it's mostly backfilled now. It looks like they were.
Yeah, it was the day I was surprised. I figured if they were gonna do something that they just started right from the hole they had, but they brought in new backfill. So I was just wondering if it was gonna become a temporary parking lot or something.
Nothing specific at this point. Temporary parking lot has been discussed among other ideas, but certainly nothing yet.
Well, we don't need a board fence for 10 years.
Mm-mm.
We have had that, and I think we've overcome that down at the recreation now. And I hate the thought they'd just moved a couple blocks east. I would hate that thought.
No. The idea is to keep this moving forward, but at the same time, keep in mind other things that might happen nearby. And we don't want to get ahead of ourselves on that one. It's been a long multi-year process getting that site back into shape. So right now we need to take potential of Federal Street and potential of other adjoining properties into account.
One of the reasons that it was backfilled was to not have it be an attractive nuisance. So having an open pit can have some safety concerns. So.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Well, Dan, I'll go on the record today is commending you very highly with what you've done up at our community college. And I hope that it shows up in our records that we applaud you for what you've done up there in our vocational building and our dormitory and so on and so forth. I give you credit. Maybe you're looking at me very befuddled, but I give you credit for it. I give you credit for ramrodding it to get it to completion.
Mr. Chair, for the record, there are a whole bunch of people involved on that one. Representative John Huffman, Frank Toda, the city, the county, so many people. Steve Lawrence, you name it. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you anyway for me. Okay, we got staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And come back and see us. Bring lots of good news every time you come, though. Don't come just bring us good news.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now we'll start down the line here. I do have a visitor, of course, from the museum. And she did a wonderful job, Julie. Thank you very much for reading the rules. And if you got something to tell us, how's your museum coming up there? We're going to continue to see our museum for the next 50 years?
We hope so. It's closed for the winter right now. Although when people show up, if someone is there, they get to come in and look around. And I heard a report recently that 14 people came in one day just off the street. So that's pretty good. We've been in a world of hurt since the cruise ships stopped bringing drive-by. So we really need to focus. The board is thinking about how to have a broader appeal locally. We haven't been going out to the schools and doing education about Fort Dalles Museum. We haven't been doing many fundraiser kind of things. And so that's what's in the works. And we're going to be working on that this winter and seeing how we can stimulate interest in the history of the Dalles, Fort Dalles.
Well, not going up and seeing you like I should, but I'm not a very good paying customer anyhow.
Probably let you in for free if you stop by.
I would love to see you develop a program that is near and dear to me, is the Fresno Scrapers.
Oh, yeah. Eric can speak to that.
And how they used to move dirt and whatever. We didn't have highways in those days. People have a little trouble grasping that there wasn't any highways, it was the railroad.
Mhm.
And if you moved anything, you moved it by rail, and usually that was humans as well as whatever merchandise there was. So building that railroad grade is something that I have a feel for. And I think you have two Fresnos up there.
You do.
Yeah, we have a wheeled one and I think
Well,
one
you
that's
got the
just-
wheeled one is the Fresno. The other one is what they called in my day and age a slush scraper. That was a slush scraper versus the wheeled one. And so I don't know if you can take how many of those little scrapers and set them off here and have a story that you can tell about them. And I have been reading and thinking about the freighting. This community was blessed with the river, but when they got here, they stuck and they had to put it on a horse and wagon. And so when things got to here, they had to go out of here by horse and wagon, however it was done. And you don't emphasize that enough. I mean, there's something up there besides the stagecoach.
We
And,
have a beautiful collection of wagons and antique vehicles. We'd really love to be able to display them better and to tell their stories better. Could you help us get some funding? Eric can speak to this maybe a little more.
I'm going to pass on that. But nevertheless,
Mhm.
make lemonade since you got lemons. That's all I could possibly ask at this point.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to go to the commission members themselves. Eric, how you been faring 2 months off?
all right, not too bad. I could add a couple more things at Fort Dalles.
Yes.
We have some interior restoration to do in the surgeon's quarters. When that tree fell and hit the roof a few years ago, a branch poked the hole through the upstairs ceiling. We've got that patched, but it also made some cracks in the ceiling. So we got I think this winter, we're gonna kind of patch those cracks and also knock down some plaster in one of the closets. So we're gonna replace that plaster. And then one of the front banisters are on the outside, up the main stairs that go up in the front. One of those handrails is rotted away, so we have to replace that. And then we are going to continue with the restoration of the windows at the Anderson house. So those are 1970s replacement windows, which need to be restored now. So we're going to do that hopefully this winter as well. So
Well,
lots of projects.
that isn't a window project. This is going to be a window contractor.
No, I think we're going to try and do it as a community outreach project. So
And that's always interesting because there are people that want to get involved in historic things and they want to know how they did it in historic days.
yeah, we're going to
Uh,
try and get some public involvement. I'm not sure the winter is the best time to do that or not, but
You haven't got a big heated shop?
no.
Oh, I thought maybe that in addition.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet. And then I was going to ask staff, I know we had talked last meeting about landmarking, doing some local landmarks, and you guys were going to update the form, which probably dated from 1972 or something like that.
Yes, there is no digital footprint for the form, so we do have to remake those forms. I've been working on them a little bit, but I'll probably get them to you shortly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. And then also for the public community window workshop, please do let me know
Yeah.
because I can use any networks that I can to spread the word, especially advertising in the office as well, as there are prospective folks who want to restore their windows that come in and ask questions. So I always like to have a free events, or if it is or not, but it's always a great opportunity for folks to learn as they are planning out their restoration. Because as you know, it's not something that happens overnight. So people think a lot about it first before they go take the dive.
Yeah.
Forrest, while I can see you, I'll remember you. So I'm gonna call on you. If you have anything you'd like to tell us that happened and historic wise or otherwise,
I just wanted to mention, because it didn't seem like anyone mentioned it, the email from Richard Wolf that I believe was sent to a couple people, but I don't think it was sent to all the committee members. And he was just wanting to stop the backfill of the Tony's Foundation because he thought that we could salvage the stone that was down there. But I believe he was answered by Matthew Cleaves. That was basically just saying that the company had the option to store the block and the city didn't really want it or anything like that. And they've already backfilled it now. So I just don't know if we would have been interested in stone like that. I know some of the historic stone is hard to come by. Like the high school was trying to get stone for a while and it was hard to come by. So I just didn't know if that was something we should have addressed, but it's already been addressed now and filled up. So that's all I had to mention.
thank you. Intermission time with you. Charlie, you've sat there very patiently and haven't said anything. Would you like to say anything tonight?
She is not a commissioner, so I don't think we can. I don't know if we can ask them.
Did not come with any intention to speak about it.
Okay, thank you. All right, now back to you, Bev. I didn't want to leave you out, but I got you close. You'd have reminded me if I'd overlooked you.
I would. Well, I really don't have anything. The historic landmark is doing well, is busy, has concerts and different things. St. Peter's historic landmark. So I guess that's all we talk about is historic landmarks. We've had a lot of action with the cameras. They've installed cameras for security around, and it's just like a constant little, because it's on Mr. Eggy's phone and we get little notices, and it's very interesting what you see on those cameras. The, just people down in, homeless, what's the politically correct?
Houseless.
Houseless, sorry. People going back there. And so that we're kind of busy with that. And there's been just different little things that the police have come, but it's kind of the world we live in. But as far as the landmark, everything's going well.
Thank you. Well, I have been very disturbed the last couple of days. Over here, what is happening on Pentland, I believe. I know we're in a historic district, and I don't think the sidewalks in the historic district were piled high with round rocks, so people could not walk on them. And I am just slowly but surely coming to life and can't visualize what city agency authorized them to do this or tolerated it or however you want to spell it at this point. And I think it's something that historically we're everybody, the same thing, we're all historic. And we do have a problem with homeless, there's no question. But I don't know that just building fences and dumping rocks on the ground is going to improve the situation with them. I think they'll be here, and I kind of lied to my church members when they was aghast several weeks ago about the fact that they had these rocks on the sidewalk, and I had seen it myself. I had seen it, but I didn't pay any attention. So I immediately drove up there, and at that time they were building a rock wall between the sidewalk and the fence. And so I raced back to my people and said, now don't be too hasty. That's all that's going to amount to. Well, now I got to race back and tell my people I was misled and they're not going to let you use that sidewalk anymore. They're doing whatever they have to run the homeless from camping there. So
What is the location that you're talking about?
right across from St. Vincent's.
May I interject?
Yes.
Pardon?
May I interject, Chair Neri? So you did call me earlier today asking about this question about the sidewalk. And so I did pull their sidewalk closure application. The closure end date is the 6th of December. So city recognizes that they're doing construction at this location. I heard some narrative that they got the sidewalk closure extended because the work crew there was an unsafe work crew environment, so they had to leave, unfortunately. But the rocks are not seen as a permanent feature on the city sidewalk. They do have a valid closure permit, and I did bring a copy for you today, Chair Neri. That's all.
So you can see that I am disturbed. And that is not proper that we do this to any class of people. They could just as well be a racial issue here as well as any. So I don't want to see the city into that. If there's no further comments, my wife is gonna have dinner for me.
I guess I should bring up something since you've
Please do.
talked about. With the original courthouse is, of course, a neighbor down there. We've had to put up a couple of fences, which I think we talked about before, which seems to have somewhat mitigated at least the people camping on the property issue.
Yeah.
We did put a security light up as well. It was where we had previously had a light that would shine on the flagpole at night, but we just replaced that with a security light.
Like a motion light or?
Yeah, a motion light there. I know it's kind of a frustrating chronic situation down there with all the neighbors of the historic district down there are kind of concerned about their safety and all of that other kind of stuff. And it's definitely a situation that's beyond any of our control at this point. But it's definitely something that we have to work towards resolving in a humane and comprehensive way, whatever that turns out to be.
Yeah, that is the thing that bothers me is more, we haven't figured out the cure. So it's hard to start the program until you have a cure. But boy,
It's complicated. There's drugs and mental health issues and
oh,
poverty and there's just lots of things involved.
weather
in
now.
Where do they
Mhm.
go? But I live at ground zero. I mean, I could
Yeah.
tell you stories that would curl your toes, Bob.
Yeah.
But I love where I live and we're just gonna, hunker down and pray
well,
for these people.
we as citizens seem to want people to obey the law. And so consequently, that's why we have to issue permits and so on and so forth. And if they have a valid permit, what you're saying now is going to run out on such and such a day, let's see what the carry on is from there. And if we choose to ignore it, then we're as big a bigots as they are. Okay, I'm ready for somebody to turn me off.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Hey, thank you.
I'm second
All
it.
in favor, say aye or here. Thank you very much, and it's been great. It's been great.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone. Have a good night.
There's another one over here.
Oh, no, I ate one that's years